This is our first ever vlog on our channel, Accelerate. And we're doing it because we are the second reviewer in Canada to have this car. Come take a look. Ta-da! Yes, I know what you're thinking. It's a Corvette Z06, but it's not. It is an E-Ray. It looks exactly the same as the Z06 on the outside with the exception of this badge that says E-Ray. Now we're gonna talk about a few things, so we'll get to the car in a second. Back up, Ian, back up. First things first, when we film here, Ian requires us to turn off the air conditioning. It is 22 degrees, which is like 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Not really. But the point is I don't like to sweat. I like to be cool. But Ian cares about the audio. This little muffly sound, he doesn't like. So this is what we gotta do. Number two, where the car is placed. The car is placed right here, so we have enough light, so when we film it, there's no dark spots. You see? When the car is here, right here, it's too dark. Not a good thing. That is the second thing. The third thing is I cannot wear any chains, because if I wear chains, it does one of these and it drives him crazy. Correct. I even can't even wear these beads. And here's a trick as a YouTuber. When you ask people to subscribe, they actually do that. And when we get enough subscribers, we will get a plaque right here when we hit 1 million subs. I mean, 10 million is a bit of a dream, but maybe 1 million in the next 5 years, we will accomplish it. Then the other thing is when we place these heavy vehicles on this tile, especially when we just had the S63E Performance, that weighs like 6,000 pounds. And I was expecting these tiles to crack, and they have not. Whoever installed these tiles, you know who you are, you did a great job. Anyways, come over here, I wanna show you guys this thing. Let me know if we should get a nice big A8 illuminated logo right here. So when we film, you guys can see the A8 logo. Also, I'm a bit sick, which I'm pretty surprised that Ian is this close to me, because when I am sick, he runs. And anything else you think we should pump up in the studio, let us know. I think the studio still vibes. I think it's still good for a couple more years, but at some point we have to renovate some stuff just to like spice it up, change it up, because you guys want to see something different, because I do when I watch TV. Now back to the car. So in 2020, Corvette released this, their first ever mid-engine supercar to actually fight and battle exotics. Exotics like Lambo, Ferrari, and now even itself, because it has different versions of this. They launched with the Stingray, then they have the Z06, and now for 2024, they have this, the E-Ray, the first ever Corvette to be all-wheel drive and electrification together. This is the fastest Corvette ever. It does 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2.5 seconds. And its rival is the Z06 that does it in 2.6 seconds. It lightly edges out the Z06. Now, people are gonna watch this video and say, hey, should I buy this or should I buy the Z06? And actually, it is for two different types of drivers. The Z06 model is completely performance-oriented, that's designed for the track, and somebody that just wants a vehicle to just rip it as hard as they can everywhere they go. This, on the other hand, is a daily driver. You can call it the winter Corvette because it is all-wheel drive. Remember, the only all-wheel drive model that Corvette has ever made. And on top of that, you get all-season tires factory. Now the Corvette starts around 106,000 US dollars and goes all the way up to about 125. In terms of trim names, it's called 1LZ, 2LZ, 3LZ, and then with the Stingray, it's called 1LT, 2LT, 3LT, blah, blah. But the point is, you can get it in coupe or convertible. The price point of this exact one is 150,000 Canadian dollars. But the most important thing here, besides all that, is what GM did with the engine. Now I said it has 655 horsepower, and that is true, but it's how it gets it. They didn't make the engine smaller. They took the engine from the Stingray, put it in here, added electrification, instead of what everybody else does, is puts a little tiny baby engine, adds electrification, and then's like, sweet, we give you a V6 with electrification. Well, we don't want that. So you have the melodic sound of the 6.2 liter engine that sounds harmonious under full load. I love long chats in my Corvette. You know why? Now where I'm standing, you have the 6.2 liter engine and it makes 495 horsepower, and this motor puts all the power to these rear wheels. But it's all-wheel drive, which means there's electrification up here that makes 160 horsepower for a combined 655 horsepower. In the 2024 Corvette E-Ray, baby, and we're about to launch this thing. No talking, just launching. 2.96. Okay, must have been Ian's smile that's slowing us down. Okay, press and hold brake. Come on, launch control. There we go. Better, better, better. Yes. 2.86. Can we do it? And go. 2.76. Okay. Okay. All right, let's experience this launch. Oh my God. Whoa. That's insane. Oh my goodness, wow. I haven't really had breakfast yet, so I was feeling a little wobbly, and now I'm ready to pass out. Never actually driven a Corvette in my life, so this is my intro. So 2.76 is what we got out of this Corvette E-Ray 3LZ. Okay, first thing I noticed about this car right away is the shifting. There's no delay because this battery keeps pushing while it's shifting. Listen, watch. And the noise, sick. Dude, this thing rips. Like, it rips. It is insanely fast. And that's one thing about the Tesla that kind of sucks. My Tesla's insanely fast, but there's no adrenaline, there's no exhilaration, there's no visceral feeling that you get. Like the revving is just sick. Like, just that shifting. It's just a constant push like a train. Now with this 1.9 kilowatt hour battery, you can travel up to 45 miles per hour purely on electric, which is what GM calls stealth mode. Now you can only do it for a few miles. It's not like a plug-in hybrid, you can drive it forever, and that's because this battery is solely just to provide power. Now the one thing I love about American product is all the buttons on this key fob. You see, some other brands only have lock, unlock, and then the panic button. So in this specific Corvette, I have a button here that opens up the frunk. So I'm gonna hit this button, and we're gonna show you how much stuff we can put inside this front trunk, which is called a frunk. So let's hit the button here and pop up for me. Oh, wrong button. That was a complete blooper. Okay, so hit this twice here. Voila, it opens up, and I lift it up here. So look how much you can put inside here. This is pretty much the exact amount of room that I used to have in my 2018 Audi R8. And check this out, a light touch here. It is soft close. How cool is that? Like, man, the value of these things are insane. Anyways, a lot going on in the front because it is the same as a Z06. You have these massive front intakes. You have this low valence. It's very aggressive, and from the front, anybody that sees this car is like, man, that's a beautiful car, and they are bang on. This is magical in the front. Of course, you have the Corvette badge there. It's very, I would say, like, super stealth jet style design in the front of this. It's all pointing forward, and there's nothing you can complain about the front of this E-Ray. Now on the side here is where some serious business happens. You have 20-inch rims in the front, 21s in the back, but they've used, like I talked about, all-season Pilot Sport all seasons. I said that twice. Anyways, as far as thickness or width goes, on the front you have 275s, and on the back it is an ultra impressive 345s. It is ultra wide. Now Ian, come over here so people can see how wide these tires are. I mean, look at this thing. Look at it. Like, look how wide this is. And I'm surprised, being the second reviewer here in Canada, we still have tires left. Thank you, Straight Pipes, for not killing these tires. Now moving back up to the center of the car, look at this distance you have right here from the mirror to the window. It is wide because you need it. Look at this booty, it is huge. Now, I will say when driving it, the important bit are not these mirrors. They do a decent job of getting, visuals around the vehicle when you're driving it in terms of blind spots and stuff, but what puts it all together is this rear view mirror camera. That is the game changer. Without that, this would be a difficult car to drive. With it, it makes it easier. Now you have side skirts that are all black, that flares out, goes in, and then you have this wide, remember, this is a mid-engine vehicle. It needs to have this to suck air when hammering down the street. This is also painted right here, and of course the E-Ray badge. Now can you pop the trunk, please? Hit that button twice, 1 and 2, and the trunk will open up. Now check this out. This is also soft close, and I will show you in a second. When this opens up, you can see the engine completely, and then you have the trunk. This is exactly the same as the Stingray, which has been reviewed a million times on YouTube. This is where you can put in your T-top, clip it in here, and you can store it. Now, if you don't have the T-top off the vehicle, you can just simply use this for storage or whatever you want to use it for. Let's close this back down again. There we go. Now don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure you can fit 2 sets of golf clubs in the trunk. That was the deal with Corvette owners. They want to be able to fit a set of clubs. And I'm like 95% sure that you can fit clubs in the back of this Corvette E-Ray. That's pretty sick. The part of the vehicle that is not as exciting as the front of the vehicle, and that is the back. They've done this here in this lower valence to make it more like Batman-ish, cat ears, this type of vibe here, but other than that, this here, not my favorite part, but that is completely opinionated, in my opinion. Anyways, you have this spoiler that is not the big wing like the Z06. I like how they have the Corvette in black. You do have the Vet Stingray badge here, but it's not a Stingray, kind of weird. Anyways, I was gonna laugh because here in Ontario, if you have some sort of electrification, obviously plug-in hybrid, you get green plates. Imagine they just open it up and give us green plates for this. That would be the funniest thing ever. And then you have these real exhaust tips.
Those Chevy Traverse tips?
Don't say that. So let's listen to these exhausts one more time. So we're gonna start off the interior in the passenger seat because I can see a lot more. First things first, there is a wireless charger and it's not where Ian is pointing the camera. It is right here. Put your phone in and boom, there's your wireless charger. But what about E-Ray? What makes this more of an E-Ray than any other Corvette? Well, first things first, when you open the door on the sill, you see E-Ray. When you sit inside, you see E-Ray. When you turn your head to look this direction where your wireless charger is, you see E-Ray. Check. When you start the car and you hit some buttons, you see E-Ray. Anyways, when you get inside the vehicle, you have a 12-inch driver's display screen. You have an 8-inch touch screen that does everything else in terms of infotainment. There is one button that is hard to find that is specific to E-Ray though, and it's hiding down here. I will show you guys how quick it is to recharge this battery. It is insanely fast. These seats are amazing. They are carbon fiber. They are the GT2 bucket seats and they are standard. They have the crested Corvette logo in the headrest, but the carbon part is so cool, man. Look at this. All this carbon. You get blue seat belts to match your blue car. Ian, what color is this?
Riptide Blue.
Riptide Blue. You have this carbon fiber steering wheel that is square. You have the 12 o'clock marker right there. Of course, you have the Corvette badge there. Your Z button that activates crazy mode. There is a button on the door panel to open and close the door. If you don't know, Mike has ADHD, so I jump around a lot. Normally these videos are pretty edited, so they don't have this crazy chaotic feel to them. Anyways, let's jump into the driver's seat and show you some more buttons. So while I press this button, jump out and get out of this car, some people are gonna have a hard time getting in and out of the Corvette because it is very, very low. Even though this does sit a little bit higher, I hit this button, it has a rubberized feel on the inside of the door panel. I press it, opens up the door. Love this white. It is white in my opinion. You might call it really, really bright cream, but it is white. Definitely, you have the Bose Performance Series in there. You've got 2 memory seats. You have the button just like you have on your fob to open the frunk and open the trunk. That's the button I was talking about. Lock and unlock. Not a lot of storage in here, but a decent amount for a sports car. Really, really wide sill. It's interesting how the sill is very thin here, at least this little cover plate. It should actually extend all the way down here, but it shows you how wide this car is. It is crazy. Anyways, over here you have your electromechanical parking brake. You have your massive heads-up display that you can adjust the height of it. Very, very skinny vents. But where I like the detail is the more white over here. Look how they've done it here. It's amazing. I just love all this. It makes it look very, very aggressive instead of just a plain looking dash. Again, more white to follow. In this specific case, this is suede or Alcantara. You have your OnStar right there. You have your keep you in your lane button. This of course also has blind spot indicator. Let me hit this button off. So interestingly enough, when you're in the vehicle, thank you, almost, close it out. When you're in the vehicle and you want to, look, check that out, 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 check that out.
Oh, it's not focusing.
Oh, come on, there we go. Electrification, awesome. And then you see your Vet, sweet. Now it's got that spoiler. This one doesn't have it. Not that exact spoiler. Anyways, back up. Let me talk about some more stuff here. With this screen, you can't activate it without starting the car. So normally you can put accessory mode or like, you know, full contact essentially. And when I hit it, it goes off. There's no way for me to show you this screen, like in depth, the driver's screen, without actually starting the car. So anyways, this is kind of what I'm left to. So let's talk about some important stuff here. Look at these paddle shifters, all carbon fiber, awesome. These stocks here are pretty cheap, to be honest. This thing right here, the fact you can do this is just not a good thing. Look right here, not a good thing. When I try to indicate, it just doesn't feel like I have actual like listen, look. It's just not good.
They're so heavy too.
Yeah, this is like definitely when people joke about like GM part spins. The switches I get, like the window switch is totally cool, fairly straightforward. I don't mind using the part spin, but this here, just use a better stock in my opinion, because this really shows the quality and you use this stock all the time. You want to have a better clicky system and it has to be closer to your fingers. Like look how far this distance is. Like look where my finger is stretched out. It's hard to move it, like I'm at the end of my fingertips. Now some people say I have very small fingers, but I think I don't have small fingers. Now moving on from the stocks, you have this ERay specific information display on this 8-inch screen. Down from there you have your park, reverse, neutral, drive, and manual mode. I like how the reverse comes up and the drive comes up. Those are really cool functions on how they've done that from an engineering and, you know, a practicality standpoint. You have your stability program here, your front camera, and then your modes are hiding right here. This doesn't lift up, this is fixed, but there is a rotary knob behind it that I can shift right, or left to go in the different driving modes this Corvette has. Now this is pretty straightforward on the right here. This is sort of intuitive because it is simple, straightforward buttons. I love having this here. It has dual climate control. How wild is that? Dual climate control. On the left, I have my temperature up here, and on the right, I have my temperature down here. All your fan speeds and all your HVAC buttons are controlled right there, included ventilated seats. Yes, thank you, GM. Underneath here, I do have 2 cup holders, pretty straightforward stuff. And then under this center console, I know I'm probably in the way for you guys to see, I lift this up and I have a USB and a USB-C. That's that for the interior. What's amazing to me is how this drives. Very comfortable, very, very comfortable. Like insanely comfortable, so much so that I can say it might be a little bit more comfortable than my R8. See, the R8 was the poor man's Lambo, but also a very good daily driver, like the best daily driver you could get. So I owned one for 3 years, and I will say that this is pretty much the same, if not a little bit softer. And just there under full braking, man, it felt super solid and super planted. I mean, dude, you got 345s in the back. How can you go wrong? And then there's the steering wheel, very nice to hold. This carbon fiber is excellent. Now, looking at a square steering wheel, especially when it looks like an upside down steering wheel, where there's so much like room at the top here, it just looks kind of awkward. But it doesn't feel awkward when you hold it. Like when I'm holding it like this, right? Perfect. And at the top, I'm holding like this, and I can stretch out my forearms, which are nice and big from all this grip on this wheel. This E-Ray makes sense. I'm like, more people should buy the E-Ray over the Z06. Now there's something about resale potentially. The Z06 is gonna hold better value over the term, especially with these exotic cars that have the batteries involved. I mean, take Ferrari, for example, and that thing is like, went up in crazy price and then it's like, take a nosedive forward. This is a little bit different because this is just a more of a daily driver. It doesn't cost as much as the Ferrari. This is sort of a, obviously this price point's way cheaper than the Ferrari. So I kind of understand the Ferrari theory. This, I don't think will drop, you know, like a rock, because they're, first of all, still hard to get. Guys still charging over 7 MSRP. So I think this is a different play than the SF90, but again, just something to consider. And also, the Z06 kind of sucks to drive on a daily. Like as a daily, you probably don't want to drive it. But this, totally cool. The only thing I complain about this being a daily driver is possibly being a little too low to get in and out. But really, that's about it, and that really just depends on your health. Now, you don't have to drive it like a maniac all the time. If you drive it in tour mode, then you have cylinder deactivation, as well as using the electric motors most of the time when you're driving to obviously save fuel and to just putter around, because this is obviously for people that like to putter. So what about the warranty on this E-Ray? Well, GM gives you 8 years or 100,000 miles of full warranty when it comes to the battery as standard, whichever comes first, obviously. And you've got carbon ceramic brakes that stop this thing on a dime.
Just sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic here, and one thing I will say that I really like about this Corvette is the front camera and the fact that you can see straight down. That's an awesome camera. It's very handy, because when you're parking this, you're always like, don't want to hit a curb.
What is there else to say about this 2024 Chevy Corvette E-Ray except for they have absolutely killed the competition. For this price point, there's nothing else you can get that is even remotely close to this car. And man, I think they've nailed this thing. An inexpensive beast on the track, great bang for buck, because it's always been that best bang for buck. And now you have this extra vet that they've put out on the market. So you have the traditional vet, you have this E-Ray, and then you have the Z06, and you can place them in whichever direction you want. We all know the Stingray is the base, but is the E-Ray better than the Z06, or the Z06 better than the E-Ray, or just what they naturally are and being different? So I hope you guys like this review on this 2024 Chevy Corvette E-Ray. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, GM, for letting us be the second reviewer in Canada to get our hands on this thing. And for everybody else, please give us a sub so we can get more of these cars and maybe be the second on more brands. We'll catch you on the next one.